Welcome to Forbidden Planet TV. I'm Andrew Sumner. I'm privileged to be joined by my three friends right here. Jeff Connor from Alcon, Mighty Mike Johnson, the creative powerhouse behind the Blade Runner 2029 line, and the greatest living editor in British comics history, Mr. David Manley Leach. How are the three of you today?
Yeah,
feeling great. I feel good about this.
Yeah, I feel good about it too. Thanks for joining us, guys. So we're here to talk about the collected edition of Blade Runner 2029 Volume 1 Reunion, which is published by Titan Comics on July the 6th, 2021. And you can pre-order this collected edition right here from the links attached to this interview. So, Mike, you, as we've already established in previous interviews, you know, you're the script writing creative powerhouse behind this line. What can you tell us about Blade Runner 2029 Volume 1?
So 2029 Volume 1, we pick up about 2 years after the end of our 2019 series. So the math seems weird, but the 2019 series actually ended in 2027. And now we are 2 years later. Ash, our I was going to say plucky. That's not the right word. She's not plucky. She's determined. Blade Runner. She's back Blade running, but she's now involved romantically with a replicant named Frasier, who is a character who appears in 2049, the movie. And her job entails hunting replicants who need to be put down, but also helping replicants who deserve a chance at a better life. So Ash is living really a double life at this point. Her bosses in the Blade Runner unit don't know that she's actually helping Frasier and the replicant underground. And hopefully that won't come to light, because that would be a real problem for Ash. But yet to be seen. So the other important thing about this first arc is that we introduce a new replicant named Jotun, who is sort of the prototypical combat replicant, but he's a Nexus 6, and somehow he has survived long past his expiration date. And now in 2029, we're starting to see that over the years, he has built up his own replicant underground that has a very different perspective about things than Frasier's. Frasier's is about saving replicants. Jotun's underground is about one day rebelling to overthrow the entire social order. First in Los Angeles, but ultimately in the wider world. And in this first arc, we see Jotun basically reveal himself to the world, and he and Ash have actually met before. And that is the meaning behind the word reunion as the title of this first arc.
Jeff, what do you think, as the guy who is the creative overlord for Alcon and what's being done with the franchise? What's your view of this first collected volume?
I bristle at the notion that I'm a creative overlord. I mean, my job is to stay out of the way of the creatives, not to overlord them. But
that was your Tyrell moment, by the way, where you could have just really, certified your dominance.
Because I want to be killed by my creation. I think with Jotun, I think he's a really complex character. This idea, which is a genius idea, of a Nexus 6 outliving the expiration date for whatever reason, and how that affects that person's character psychologically. Do they get a chosen one complex, or they feel that they mistake chance for genius? I think it's really interesting, and he's a dangerous character, and his methods are extreme, but I think a lot of people would probably agree with what he's laying down. So it's a very interesting idea, and the way Mike is executing on it is really a lot of fun and compelling.
Yeah, I completely agree. Big Guy, what's your take on this volume?
Well, what's my take on it? I love the fact that we're jumping along in 10-year increments. I think that's nice. The first one was 19, now it's 29. I think Jotun is as has already been said, I think he's a very exciting character. I got to say, there's a part of me that always roots for the replicants. So I'm rooting for Jotun. I really want him to win. I want him to smash the system. I want him to grind Ash's bones into dust. But that's just me. So wow. I think he's great. I like him a lot.
Wow.
The truth comes out on video.
Yeah.
It really
Is
does.
this being recorded? I don't believe I said that.
I'm gonna have to rethink my life choices here.
No, I think he's great. I mean, he's just so sort of he's such an interesting character. It's I'm in, as I said before, I'm in that lucky position. I get to read. I'm working on issues off in the future, so I know how his mission's going. I'm thrilled. I'm waving my flags. Go Jotun! Woo, 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 woo.
Now,
I'll
Mike.
keep that in mind.
Yeah. now, Mike, you of course have worked on this series with your old pal Michael Green and with the phenomenally talented artist Andres Guinaldo. What's it been like working with the two of them?
Well, Michael's really kind of let me go on this 2029 series, and I'll check in with him every once in a while, but he's sort of given me free reign on this one. But I got to say, working with Andres, I feel like we have the secret greatest artist working in the industry right now.
Yeah.
I
totally agree. Yeah,
I
I feel like we're getting away with something. Like,
Yeah.
We're so lucky to have him. He puts so much work into every panel. I know years later, I'm going to look back on this and just be amazed, not only at how great his work is, but that we were able to work together for as long as we have in an industry where writer artist teams are changing month to month, much less series to series.
No, I think Mike.
And the same goes. Sorry, real quick. Same goes for the whole creative team with Marco.
Oh God, yeah.
For sure.
Campbell on the letters, and David and Jeff. Like, we're all working together as a team. I think we have the sort of production machine, except when my scripts are late. The production machine is running very well, and there's an enormous amount of trust on all sides, so that now we can just focus on the story and the characters and making sure it's the best comic we can make.
I think the reason for that is, Mike, that you've earned that trust. I mean, it's sort of the story that you're giving us. It's sort of, you've earned the right to do what you want to do with it now, because you've set your stable, and it's exhilarating to see what you're doing with it. It really is. So, I from my point of view, I'm really happy to let you run with it, because I think that you're surprising me, you're entertaining me, and there's never a sense that you're just sort of like phoning it in. There's a passion in your scripts, which is great, which is amazing, because your scripts are the sparsest scripts I've ever read.
Oh, good.
Well, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, what I love about it is that you would traditionally get, for a 22-page comic, you probably end up with a 30-page script. Your scripts come in at 22 pages, And what I love about it is that your dialogue is it reminds you of Richard Stark. It reminds you of the Parker books. There's not an ounce of fat on it. It's part to the bone.
And that came from Michael Green initially. When we were writing the 2019 series, he had a very particular sense of how he wanted the narration, and by extension the dialogue, to feel. And also, I think the reason the scripts are short is Andre and I have such a trust now that I know that I don't have to put a ton of description in there, but I do try to. I'm trying to put more photo reference in for some things, because I know that helps him. But I think it speaks to the level of trust on all sides now. I'm glad you enjoyed the script.
Hey,
seriously.
I mean, I've got to tell you, from a kind of Titan boardroom perspective, what you guys are doing with this book, it's kind of like, I think it's considered within Titan to essentially be, the Fantastic Four of the Titan output, in the sense that you guys are basically the Lee, Kirby, Sinnott, Artie Simek of Titan Publishing. And the fact that you've done that, you're creating this run very consistently, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful testament to the relationship with Alcon. It's a beautiful testament to your guys' creative alchemy. Everybody's just super proud of it.
That's great.
Well, thanks. It's
that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's great to do.
It's true, and I'm sure anybody reading this feels the same. When you hit the nail on the head about Andres' art, it's really exceptional stuff. But I think there's real power to what you're creating, guys.
I think we've been getting some exceptional covers as well. The people that David's been able to entice into the Blade Runner world for these images.
It doesn't take much enticing, Jeff. You phone them up and you say, "Hey, do you want to do a Blade Runner cover?" And they go, "Oh my God, who do I have to kill?" It's
Yeah.
very easy.
Now, talking about the themes of the book again, technology seems to be both the sickness and the cure in the world of Blade Runner. Mike, could you talk a bit about that for a sec?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of our new character, Jotun in particular, he has basically developed a way to extend his own lifespan by adapt. I don't want to get too spoilery here, but he essentially has been able to, I don't want to say modify Tyrell's technology, but sort of push the limits of Tyrell's technology to expand his own lifespan, because Tyrell made these things smarter, right? As smart as the people that created them. And Jotun is the embodiment of that. And now that his god, for lack of a better term, is dead, he's taking it into his own hands to forge his own destiny. In that sense, he's sort of an evolution of Roy Batty's character, but more extreme, more willing to push things beyond what we've seen before. So, and also the technology in Blade Runner is not as hard tech as you see in other futuristic things.
Yeah.
There's not an
Yeah.
internet. There's not. It's
No cell
I like
phones.
to call it soft tech because it's biological. It's
Yeah.
not just flying cars. It's sort of more of a background, and I think that's something that's part of the appeal of Blade Runner. It's not about the technology.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
also
think
too is the replicants, synthetic humanoids. That's a form of AI, and how we're interacting with AI is, I think, really a fascinating theme. And Jotun is one embodiment of that.
Yeah, no, well said, mate. Part of this relationship, or to these constructs, the replicants, the non-biological, semi-biological human beings, all goes back to Tyrell. Will we ever see a story about Tyrell, the father of this whole world, in effect? Because on one level, without him, there's no Blade Runner universe. Is he somebody you've ever talked around delving into the past of?
I think if we get into Tyrell, the early years, you start getting into the process of replicant creation. And I think that would remove a lot of mystery and interest it's like we never pop the hood on a spinner either, So some things are just best left off stage, and what you can figure out on your own is better than anything that we could come up with. So I think what you see in the film is all you're going to see at Tyrell, I believe.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And to close out on, gents, we were talking about technology a second ago. For each of you, what's your favorite piece of technology in the Blade Runner world?
I will go with the zoom camera thing, Deckard, the Esper. Sorry, yeah, and not even like I want one for my own personal use. I just love its use in the movie. The way that it's not, they don't shine a spotlight on it. It's just this thing in his home that he uses the way you would flip on a TV or something. The casualness with which it's introduced, I just love that. That's great world building, where it's not like, oh, look at this amazing thing that can zoom in on photographs and move them around. It's the everyday nature of something that's the key to that. I'm kidding. I want a spinner. I want a flying car.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, they promised us flying cars. Where are they?
But I think that's such a spot on thing about all the Blade Runner, or not all, but the Blade Runner science fiction, which is that it's all low key. It's not, okay, we got spinners, we got that, but like you say, it's not like, wow, let's dazzle them with it. It's just this is part of the world, and it's almost ignored because it's so mundane, it's so normal that it's not worth going into. That's why I think you're absolutely right about it. I think that's one of the things that makes Blade Runner so unique, is that the actual science isn't the big part of a big part of the experience. It's just there. It's a part. It's not the big part. I think you're spot on with that. I'm surprised none of you have mentioned it. I'd have my own replicant emu. That's what I want. If I could bring one thing back from the films, I'm bringing an emu.
Yeah.
An
Well,
emu.
Yeah. In the background of the
Ammonoid alley, you see an emu going by.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about like it was an acronym or something.
No. If we could bring back one bit of technology, I'm bringing back an emu.
Because they're robots. Yeah.
So you'd be bringing back Emu's broadcasting company, but with a replicant emu. Yeah, that is such a UK mention, by the way. That was a famous kid show from when we were growing up, with a guy called Rod Hill who had a fake emu, puppet emu. If you've ever seen him.
So you would say, "Hey, I'm back from the future with this amazing technology," and you just show people.
Yeah. It's a hand puppet.
Yeah. And it's a hand puppet. Yeah.
I use it to fix my TV aerial.
Yeah, well, that's a really deep dive now. We've really gone off the reservation here because Rod Hill died falling off his roof while fixing his TV aerial.
Because he was using emu at the same time.
That's that reference. Wow. You know what? I never thought that when we started talking about Blade Runner 2029 Volume 1 reunion, that we'll be closing out this interview talking about Rod Hill and the replicant version of emu, but I'm certainly very glad that is how we're closing this conversation off.
Emu's traditional noir, classic noir.
Absolutely can't have noir right. Yeah. The ultimate noir prop.
They're a very conflicted animal.
For sure. Gents, once again, Blade Runner 2029 Volume 1 reunion can be pre-ordered from the links attached to our conversation. If anybody has not yet read it, this is an amazing piece of work, beautifully written by Mike, beautifully illustrated by Andres and the rest of the team, and beautifully edited by David and overseen by Jeff. It's a really great piece of work. We're very proud of it. If you haven't checked it out yet, you're going to love it. Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Yep. Never a chore. I will look forward to seeing you again for San Diego Comic-Con 2021. I'll see you back there for that. If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.